G'day, my name's Ken Wallace, Olympic world champion, and you're listening to the Physical Performance Show.
And the winner is...
Failure is not an option.
I've had my ups and my downs.
Phelps with 10 meters left. 3 minutes too good. The crowd roaring. Freeman gets down.
I think it's an absolutely breakthrough experience.
Welcome to the Physical Performance Show, the show designed to inspire the pursuit of your physical best performance. I'm your host, Brad Beer. Listen in as we delve into how the world's top physical performers achieve their success, as well as the highs, the lows, and the journey of getting there. Let's get ready, set, let's go. Welcome to another episode of the Physical Performance Show, brought to you by the Gold Coast Marathon and Pogo Physio. I trust you've been having a great week, and I hope that you've been enjoying pursuing your physical best performance. On today's episode, I share a conversation with you that I had with Olympic gold medalist Ken Wallace. At the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games, Ken Wallace snagged a gold medal in the K1-500m Kayak Sprint. Prior to that, he won a bronze medal in the K1-1000m Kayak Sprint. This was Ken's favourite event, and the K1-500 metres he didn't expect to do as well in. Ken has gone on since his Beijing Olympic success to represent Australia at the London Olympic Games, and then again in the Rio 2016 Olympic Games, where he picked up a bronze medal pairing up in the K2 1000 metres with Lachlan Tame. And on today's episode, Ken Wallace takes us through his formative years growing up around the world of surf lifesaving, discovering the sprint kayak, and recounting a story of the first time he went paddling before going on to forge a stellar career in the kayak, taking multiple world titles and, of course, what's been now a swag of Olympic medals. Ken's looking forwards to Tokyo 2020, which will be his fourth Olympic Games. This is an absolute ripper of an episode. Ken Wallace, Olympic gold medalist. Let's jump straight in with Ken Wallace sharing the highs, the lows, and the learnings of his remarkable career to date. So Ken Wallace, mate, this one's been some time in the pipeline, 2 years I think, so great to finally catch up with you. Thanks for coming in, stopping by.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it has been a couple of years, but it's been a busy couple of years.
Well, 2 children on your end, 2 children on my end, and busy lives, I guess.
Yeah, it certainly is. When it rains, it pours when it comes to the kids, so you might get 10 minutes to yourself, but it's generally cleaning up the tornado that's gone through your house 20 minutes earlier.
I'm glad I'm not the only one, mate, dealing with that. Ken, what's one thing that you're learning at the moment in life?
I guess, well, you're always learning. That's the thing. Once you stop learning, you should pretty much give up what you're doing. For me, I'm learning I'm an older athlete, how to recover a little bit better in between training sessions, how to recover better when racing is happening, how to deal with life differently with 2 kids, house, mortgage. It's a very different responsibility now, different set of responsibilities now to what I had 10 years ago. Beijing Olympics was 10 years ago almost. I lived at home, I just trained, I was fully focused on training, that was it. So I guess now learning is to be a father. It's, I've got my 4.5-year-old, I've been a father now 4.5 years, and I've got 2 boys, and it's an ever-continuing development with those guys, so that's what I'm learning.
And Ken, your sons, Bodie and
Nixon,
yeah, so they're 4.5 and 2, is that right?
Yeah, so Nixon's the oldest, 4.5, and Bodie's 2.5 at the moment, and they are bouncing off walls. It's so much fun. Like, it genuinely is fun, but geez, it's tiring.
And Ken, you said you're learning to be a father, and the difference between which I think's astounding 10 years ago, which was Beijing almost 10 years, and where you were sort of focused solely on your training and now having to split your attention amongst life's other responsibilities. Do you think that hinders your performance, or it doesn't necessarily? It's just different. It's just a different management.
It's a different management. It's definitely a time management skill that you learn to deal with. In so many ways, having a kids and having those responsibilities is so much better for your sport and competition, and it gives you a reason to do it. In other ways, the kids have a bad night and they're rough, and you might only have 4 hours sleep or something, and you get up and try to train, and you're a bit tired. So other ways it's not so good, but I wouldn't swap it for anything.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about your kids, they went along to Rio, where yourself and Lachlan Tame picked up the bronze medal in the K1-500m, and they were there to witness that, right? Witness Dad get a medal as young as they were.
Exactly, and so my 4.5-year-old, he's had 2 birthdays in Europe so far. He had his first birthday in Hungary, and his 3rd birthday in Hungary. Bodie was 9 months old when he went to Rio Olympics. These kids are getting to see parts of the world that no other kid has ever, been, let alone, most adults haven't been to some of the places that these guys have been to. They've been to every continent in the world, bar Africa. They're getting to experience these things, and I guess that's probably a big driver to get to Tokyo Olympics, is so I can take my kids along with me and show them and share the experience of an Olympic Games with them and the Olympic ideals that go along with it. So it's not just all about racing, but the camaraderie, the friendship, what sport is actually genuinely about. When I was younger, it was all about just getting from here to there as fast as I can, and that's the end of it. That's all that mattered. Yeah. But now it's sport's a lot more than that, and if I can show my kids this and share that with them, then it's huge.
So do you mean, Ken, as you've matured in years, but also as an athlete, Tokyo would be your 4th Olympic Games, which is just remarkable, that you've appreciated that it's more than just winning, there's a whole other side to what you do?
Oh, big time. There's a lot more than just winning. Winning's great. Don't get me wrong, I still want to win. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with wanting to win, but the friendships that I've formed along the years of doing it, the places that I've got to see, the respect for other athletes and the respect that athletes have for me, and it's just in Australia we might just call it just being a good bloke. That's it. That's what sport is, and it's about having fun and really appreciating what we're doing. We're so lucky to be able to do sport, let alone just try and race from here to there as fast as we can.
And Ken, I think you must be doing something right, because you are known as a good bloke, I think, universally. Ken, life for you growing up, Central Coast, New South Wales boy, Gosford. I believe your first love was surf lifesaving.
Well, the first love was swimming.
Oh, swimming?
Pool swimming. Yeah, so I followed my older sister, Frances Wallace, around the swimming pool, and we were training for as long as I remember in the pool. We moved to the Gold Coast. I only found out a few years ago, essentially, because of my older sister, so she can develop her swimming further. She was in a couple of Australian teams swimming and everything. I was in state teams for swimming, never made an Australian team. But we moved up here, we moved to the beach at Talabudja, and I saw nippers happening on a weekend down there. I thought, what is that? I didn't know what it was at all. Asked if I could go join in nippers one day, and they said, it's club championships, it's a big one. And okay, great. Jumped in, won the swim, won the board, won the Ironman race, didn't win any of the beach events. I thought, this isn't a bad sport. How good's this? So I was out there surfing every day, and it was just another thing to do. So my pool swimming background, has helped me so much in my career. I've got, there's probably one reason why I haven't had any injuries kayaking as well or anything, because I've had strong shoulders growing up from the swimming and the mobility and the flexibility to do it. But I swam in the pool up until I was 15, 16 years old. I think my last state record, Queensland state record, was 16 years for 50 metre breaststroke or something like that.
So you're a breaststroker.
Breaststroker, me and Brenton Rickard.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, used to swim against each other all the time. And
Did you take Brenton? Did you take him on a bit and beat him? Or?
took him on a few times, yeah. Beat him when I was younger, but not so much now. He continued on in the sport of swimming, and I always thought that I'd go to the Olympics for swimming. Never imagined kayaking. I didn't know what kayaking was until 2000, pretty much.
And so growing up, you were aspiring to be like an Olympic swimmer.
Yeah. So
who were the athletes you were looking to?
Phil Rogers, Lindley Frame, Samantha Riley, which is funny now. We've hung out with Sam Riley quite a few times, and I'm hanging out with these childhood heroes of mine. Ian Thorpe was just getting onto the scene a little bit. Like, he was still young. He was a few years older than me. So there was all these guys, Kieran Perkins, Grant Hackett. They were the heroes when I was growing up.
They were your heroes. And no real surf lifesaving heroes, because you didn't really know what that was either.
No, well, as soon as I started into the surf, I wanted to be an Uncle Toby's Ironman. That was it. I used to watch it on the weekends. I would watch the replays. I learnt everything off the TV, and then I'd try and go and do it in the surf. So, the Trevor Hendys, the Phil Claytons, the Guy Andrews, all those guys, and one of my best mates, Kai Hurst. Watching him, me and his brother Dane Hurst were best mates, and we all grew up in Gosford swimming pool together. So I knew Kai already.
Yep.
And watching him run around in Uncle Toby's Ironman, I thought, that's all I want to do. That's it. That's all I wanted to do.
And so you said you discovered the kayak at about 20. So you were competing in the surf and relatively successfully. What was that first introduction to the kayak?
So one of my best mates, Troy Hipwood. So he won under 19 Ironman champs at Aussies, and me and him, we raced against each other. We were both in Shooting Surf Club, and he started kayaking. I thought, geez, I better start kayaking. We both. My swimming was the best leg. My board paddling, I could hold my own. I think probably because of the swimming and the fitness. The ski paddling was probably my weakest leg. And I thought, I better start kayaking, and that was just before Sydney 2000 Olympics, like literally a couple of months before. We started down in Currumbin Creek, and I remember sitting in this kayak and just looking at the nose of it thinking, how sharp and how fast is this thing? I went to Kayak Nationals 3 months later and ended up winning everything. Won the 500, won the 1,000, won the 2.5K, I thought, geez, this is a good sport, might as well keep going in this. 1 year later, I went overseas with the junior team, the Australian junior team. They said, "Oh, you made the team. You want to go to Europe?" Yeah, it's a couple of months off school, or a month off school. This is great. Won junior world championships in 2001 in Brazil.
Yep.
And went, okay, this is something that I can do. I can continue on with this.
So in 1 year, you went from first paddle in the craft, if you'd call it that, to world junior champion in the K1000.
Yeah, so
K1-1000.
K1-1000. It took about 18 months, just under, from sitting in the boat to winning junior worlds, and I think to this day, I know actually, no Australians won that event. Junior world since. So
you're wow. And what do you put that down to, Ken? Like, obviously, looking beyond this, the world now knows that Olympic champion and enduring 7 world championships as well in there. So obviously you're the right guy in the boat. But what did you put that rapid rise in success down to? I
had fun with my mates. They'd turn up training. I'd turn up training. It was like going to a party every time we'd go to the training session.
In what way?
We'd go there and we'd race. We were always competitive. I was always fit because of my swimming and wanting to be in the surf. So all my running and my board paddling, everything kept me fit. So, it was more, not so much the fitness, it was learning the skill of kayaking that's pretty much all I had to do. I had to learn the skill. I didn't have to learn fitness because I was already fit and strong from it, but just had to learn the skill. And once you do a bit of it, yeah.
And that first paddle, Ken, you said you looked at the nose and you went in the front of the craft. You went, geez, this is geared for speed. Can you remember the sensations, the feelings when you were Were you in the canal, I suspect?
Well, because I paddled a ski a few times, a surf ski a few times, and I remember being in Crumman, and you know, even to this day, like if anyone wants to jump into a kayak, they're as skinny as your hips, and you know, it's not very often people don't fall in, and I think I lasted about 50 metres and then fell in. And so yeah, I think I'd only fallen in that once. My first session I'd fallen in once. I'd probably fall in just as much now as what I did in my first session. It happens generally when I'm reaching for a drink bottle or something silly or doing something stupid.
So even now, Ken Wallace still falls out.
Everyone falls out. Yeah. Everyone still falls out. And I think I'm around about once a year.
Down one a year.
About one a year, but considering how much paddling I do, I feel like that's a pretty good odds.
So there you go. There's some encouragement for anyone that's fallen out of the craft. Support for today's show comes from the Gold Coast Marathon. Just like the Physical Performance Show, the Gold Coast Marathon encourages runners of all ages and abilities to push their boundaries and strive to complete a personal challenge. The Gold Coast Marathon is held annually on the first weekend in July. It's a must-do event for any budding athlete, weekend warrior, or family looking for a challenge to complete together. Run for the good times at the Gold Coast Marathon. Visit goldcoastmarathon.com.au. I recently caught up with race director Cam Hart, and Cam Hart outlined where the race records currently sit.
Yeah, look, they're currently sitting at pretty positive positions. So Kenneth Mungara, who's been running the event for the last 3 years, he ran the course record here for the men in 2:08:42, and that was part of our goal to get some really positive sub 2:10 times consistently. So when Kenneth ran that, we were really, really pleased. But taking that back a few years earlier, the course record had stood since 1989 by Brad Camp, an Australian Olympian, at 2:10:11. And for years and years and years, we tried to get that below there. But then in 2011, Nicholas Manza, who came out as part of one of the first real influx of Kenyan runners, that took it down to 2:10:01. Scaringly close to that sub 2:10 time, but nonetheless it was a 10-second course record, and we took that. I guess one of the big other breakthroughs was when debutant Sila Limo in 2014 came, and he got us under that sub 2:10 time. Not only then, but he also broke Rob Di Castello's all-comers record. He ran at 2:09:14, which took 4 seconds off the Australian all-comers record. So that 2014 date of then really cementing the Gold Coast Marathon as the fastest course in Australia, the fastest ever time of any marathon in Australia, was pretty fantastic for us. But then, the year later, with Kenneth Mungara running at 2:08:42 to cement a new Australian all-comers record was fantastic. Last year's edition of the Gold Coast Marathon set a new course record for the women's with Abebek Bakili doing the sterling 2:25:34. That's the fastest women's time in Australia outside of the Sydney Olympics. The Sydney Olympics had an outstanding women's field. And you'll remember Takahashi there setting an Australian all-comers record there for the women. So we're pretty close, and I think it'll happen very soon that we'll get the Australian all-comers record for women as well. So those course record times show that this is a fast course. And I think coming back to your question about international superstars running the event, they can see that they can come here and run fast times. And certainly shaping up this year's 40th edition, I think we're going to have some fast times again this year.
Support for today's show also comes from Pogo Physio. We exist to help you get back to your physical best following injury. We want everyone who walks through the doors of Pogo Physio to cross their physio finish line. That's where we high-five you and tell you that you finished rehabilitation and celebrate you being back to your physical best. In addition to traditional session-to-session appointments, we offer some industry-first models of care, including our unique 2, 6 and 12-week fixed-fee unlimited access finish line programs and our very popular monthly fixed-fee wellness booster programs starting from a low $195 per month and including physiotherapy, remedial massage and active rehabilitation such as clinical Pilates. These fixed fee services are designed to help you save money and recover faster. To learn more, jump over to pogophysio.com.au. And Ken, where do you think you get your sporting genes from?
My I'm a middle child, I guess. Well, I am a middle child. I've got my older sister and my younger sister, and it was always competitive at the dinner table, I guess. But my mother was a really good swimmer. My dad did sailing, but I'm not too sure. I just really enjoyed myself when I was younger, hanging out with my mates, and we'd always just wanted to be the best. Like, we just wanted to continually train and be fit and be strong, and have fun.
So, that's come up a few times, that theme of fun. Could you have imagined, though, Ken, in that first 18 months, you got to the World Junior titles, won that K1-1000, that you would be, a few years later, Olympic champion? Could you have even dreamt that? Obviously, you knew you were talented.
Well, I didn't think that be an Olympic champion in this sport. When I first started kayaking, I was still swimming, pretty much. In and around that, my swimming career was just kind of finishing up, or still training a bit like that, or do I want to continue? So I'd still thought that I would maybe go to the Olympics for swimming. But I remember, 2001 Junior World Champion, 2002 I'd made the senior team straight away and raced opens. So I was the youngest on the team by a mile.
You're about 22-ish or 21?
No,
or 19? 19, sorry, Ken, yeah.
19, just turned, so I was 18 when I first made the team and turned 19 overseas. And then, 02, 03, I remember 2004 coming along, and, let's go back 1 year again. 2003, one of my good mates, now Adam Van Koevenen from Canada, came out to Australia and he was training with us and racing. And it was great, we would keep up, if not, we were beating him here and there, he'd beat me, it was, we were competitive against each other. 1 year later, I didn't go to Athens Olympics. I got fourth in the trials. Winner goes, that's pretty much it when it comes to Olympics. I ended up fourth, so I was pretty happy when I was racing against Clint Robinsons, Nathan Bagley's, David Rhodes, all these guys that are top level. And I saw guys in Athens Olympics on TV that I knew I could beat from other countries who I'd raced against in the years before. Yep. I saw them in the final at the Olympic Games. I saw Adam Van Koevenen, who the year before, he went out and won Athens Olympics.
Yep.
Why aren't I there? I should be there. Have I been stuffing around? What have I been doing? Around that 01, 02, 03, was it race Kellogg's Newsground, the surf series then. So I was still fully committed in Ironman racing. But I watched the Olympics on TV and I saw people there. I thought, geez, I know I can be there. And then probably 2005 was the first year that I really took my kayaking seriously and put my head down and actually trained for kayaking.
And at that point, had you dropped swimming? You just went, right, this is it?
Yeah, pretty much dropped swimming straight away. I'd spent so many years going up and down that black line. I still enjoy it, and I can still swim now. Swimming's kind of one of those life lessons that you never really lose. Yeah. It's pretty much dropped swimming, still raced in the surf quite competitively, and then focused on kayaking. And 3 years later, Beijing Olympics came around.
And in that race, you mentioned Adam Van Koevenen, who was the Olympic champ from Athens 2004. You took out the K1-500m Sprint. You were there for the K1-1000 as well, which I believe was the event that you probably thought you had a better chance in. Is that right? And then you took it out, the 500, beating Adam Van Koevenen, and also the K1-1000 champion at Beijing, Tim Brabants, the British paddler. So you knocked off some big scalps. What was going through your head when you were on the start line?
There was a lot. It had all built up to that moment. So 2006 was the first year I raced K1 in seniors. And I had the K1-1000 spot and K1-500. 500 was my worst event. I didn't really feature in that whatsoever. But I got fifth at World Champs in 06. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. The guy that got fourth, he'd won in Athens. Adam and Tim were also in front. I was all of a sudden thrown into the mix 2007 was Olympic trials at World Championships as well. Australia doesn't get an automatic start at the Olympics. We have to get top 8 in the world back then in K1 to get a start, to reserve Australia a lane basically at the Olympic Games. And all I wanted to do was prove to myself that 5th wasn't a fluke. I ended up 4th. Yeah. And so the hardest race to this day still was probably in 2008, the Olympic trials. I'd got a 5th, a 4th in the K1-1000. 500 I still didn't feature, still didn't think anything of it. And I raced what for the last 10 years was my hero and idol growing up was Clint Robinson. He was lining up for his 5th Olympic Games, Olympic champion, got every colour medal there is under the sun. And it was Sydney in March, so there was a little bit of weed in the course, the whole lot. Clint had beaten me hands down in the mental game, in the papers, everywhere. I was just this young kid that wanted to race. In the newspaper, it was, the journalists loved him because he was talking him up. He's going for his 5th Olympic Games, so they should. And that's probably the most nerve-wracking race ever, still to this day, that I've ever done.
The trials. Leading into Beijing.
K1-1000. Clint was like 4 or 5 back lengths in front of us at the 500-metre mark. I beat him by 0.3 of a second. We'd both done the fastest times we'd ever done. I think it was like a course record at the time, the whole lot. I think we went like 3:27 for 1,000 metres. And Clint turns around to us afterwards, a couple of hours later, and goes, "That's the best time I've ever done. Good work." I was like, wow. This is coming from a guy that's been Olympic champ, been world champ, the whole lot, and he did his fastest time he'd ever done
in his career.
And I just beat him. That was my race. The Olympic Games were, in comparison, the Olympic Games were easy in a way, because it was, I've made it, go as hard and as fast as you possibly can. You're representing everyone. Just won the 1,000, the 500 at the trials. I'd won the 500, but by a boat length. Didn't really think much of it. I was happy to do it, and it's another event at the Olympic Games, but still didn't think much of it. The World Cups in 2008. We have 3 World Cups every year. The first time I raced K1-500 at that World Cup, we were talking about falling in. Took 1 stroke, fell in. World Cup that year, K1-500 fell in, and I think I ended up 5th in the 1,000 in Hungary that time. We got to the last World Cup, and K1-500 was the last event of the World Cup. And I was like, all right, I'm feeling good. I'm just going to go as hard and as fast as I possibly can and just die. That was, that's it. Let's just go out as hard as we can and just try and hold on. I ended up getting 3rd at that World Cup. It was the first time I'd podiumed in that event, first time I'd kind of been somewhere in the mix in that event. And this is in May, June, before the Olympics in August. I went 3rd. I'd gone under the previous world record. The guys that won, Tim Brabant and Adam Van Koevenen. 2 idols, two. Adam was Olympic champ. Tim had won a medal in Sydney 2000, he'd been around for a while. All of a sudden the penny dropped that, hold on a sec, I've actually got a chance in this 500. Let's try, let's go for that as well. Beijing Olympics, I was training in Hungary the whole time up until I stayed overseas the entire period of time. The rest of the Australian team came home. They trained in Rockhampton to try and stay somewhere really warm because Beijing was going to be warm. I stayed in Hungary because it was really warm and it's good water and a good place to train. Probably the most nervous race of Beijing Olympics came around was the first race, the heat. So you don't know what kind of training you've done. You know what training you've done, but am I in good form? Am I am I ready to go? And the week before Beijing, me and Adam had been doing a few training sessions together. Yeah, like it was amazing. Like just, you train together and then you line up a week later and race at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And the times that we were doing in training, we were kind of looking at each other and just go, wow, like is it this, the water's warm, we're in good nick, I know that, like, wow, this is going to get gnarly. And did the heat of the K1-1000, and it was, I think I got second behind the guy that won in Athens, Eric Lachlan. Okay, I'm in good nick, like I can do all right here. And we raced every day for 6 days, and it went like the heat of the 1,000 on the Monday, heat of the 500 on the Tuesday, semi of the 1,000 on the Wednesday, semi of the...
Wow.
And so every afternoon, it was like, okay, made it through, live to fight another day. Like we're still good. It was like racing Aussie surf champs in the ski race. You raced early in the week, and then if you made it to Sunday, you knew that you were on. So I looked at it like that. And every afternoon we sat down, and like I don't drink that much at all, but I sat there and had a beer with my coach every afternoon. I was like, yep, sweet, we've had a beer, and it was just a way of just to relax and enjoy yourself, and a whole range of different reasons. And I had the heat happened, 500 heat, made it through. Semi of the 1,000, that was tough because I had on both sides of me previous world champions. So Marcus Oscarson, he'd won worlds in 2006. Ben Fui from New Zealand, he got silver in Athens and had won world championship. I think he still had the world's fastest time. He was in my semi as well. And there was like two other guys that I knew that were going to be tough. Won my semi, beat these two guys that had won medals at the Olympics and World Championships. That's sweet. Okay, this is it. I'm in the final. This is it. I'm on. The 500-meter semi the next day came along. It was a little bit raining in the morning, and it was the day that Kai Hurst was swimming. And Kai was doing the open water at the same course that I was racing at. So he swam in the rowing kayaking course. And so I went there, watched him do laps of that thing. It's pretty funny. It must have been boring in a way for him to do laps of a kayak course, but it's Olympic Games, you go as fast as you can. Watched Kai, I think he ended up 9th in Beijing, 9th, 10th. I was like, oh yeah, sweet. The 500-meter semi was that afternoon. And I'd done my warm-up, done what I'd been doing every other day. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm slipping around on my seat a little. I sit on a rotating seat, like it swivels in the boat. And I don't know whether it was just the heat or the Olympic pants that we were wearing or what, but I was slipping on the seat a little. I thought, I'll pull my seat out and I'll try something. Olympic Games is the best place to try something. And put some elastoplast tape on my seat to try and stop me slipping around. Sat there, and a lot of people like to get really amped up and really, get ready for the racing and heavy metal music, the whole lot. I don't at all. I like to relax and just take it easy and, listen to music, but it's soothing music, not anything because the race is going to be hard enough as it is. I need to amp myself up. And even once I stop listening to music, it's still going to be 20 minutes before the start of the race. So it normally takes 20, 25 minutes to get to the start line. I looked at my watch, I had 12 minutes to the start. And so I remember just running, the coach running, everyone running to get my boat on the water, get me on the water. Got halfway up the course, and I ended up looking at my watch going, I'm not going to make the start of this race. The Olympic Games come on, I've got to make the start, like I can't not make the... And it was from doing nothing. It was just from sitting there, just relaxing too much. And getting out of my boat, running through this bush with the boat on my shoulder, getting across to the start line, 4 minutes to the start of the race. and there was no way that I was going to make it if I paddled all the way around to the start line. Got on the race, got through to the final. I think I got second at that time. Adam was in my semi as well. He just went the world record in the semi-final. Again, I got second and went under the previous world record, so we were moving. And that was it. The next 2 days, Friday and Saturday, were the finals.
What happened with the tape? The elastoplast?
Worked a treat.
So
left it on there.
You left it on there for the finals?
Left
the
it on
500
there
and the
for
1,000?
Yeah. I thought, I'm not going to touch the boat anymore. I'm going to leave it and make sure I'm there on time. But the next day did exactly the same thing as what I'd been doing 4 days before. I'd moved out of the village. I didn't stay in the village, the Olympic Village, because it was like a 50-minute bus ride. I moved to it was 3.3k exactly, the hotel that I was staying in. We'd hired a Chinese bike. You know, every other athlete's running in there, you know, in the full buses and, you know, the VIP train. I went through the front gate in my full tracksuit, like the full kit, riding this Chinese pusher down to the course every day. And I rode back. Did that, wore my ice vest, you know, on the way down, wore my ice vest out warming up, because it was like a normal day there. It was like 34 to 36 degrees. And did the warm up. My parents were in the stands, my sisters were in the stands. You know, they were like the first people there. So they were there hours before the race and me warming up. You know, so I'd hear them in the grandstands whilst I was going up and down the course for the warm up, and it's hard not to like turn around and look at them. And I remember lining up for the final. Thought, oh, here we go. This is it.
Which was first, the 1,000 or the 500?
1,000 was first. Yeah. And I started fast, like on the timing board afterwards. In hindsight, I was last at 250 metres by point nothing of a second. There was Tim Brabants and Adam Van Koevenen out in front, and it's not that I went out slow. It's just that these guys went out extremely fast. And so I was last at 250 metres. I was last at the 500 metre mark by about half a boat length. You know, a boat length is about a second in time. We travel about 5.5, 6 metres per second. I was second last at the 750 metre mark. And I remember going through, it was about 350 metres to go to the start line. I remember thinking to myself, this is it, got to go. Like, I'm back a bit, I have to go now. And I put in some real hard strokes. Ended up catching up real fast, you know, but then once I got to a certain point, then I was buckled. 100 metres to go, 80 metres to go, I was like buckled, proper buckled. Lactate was like through the roof, couldn't feel my legs anymore, like I was just gone. I got to about 30 metres to go, took one straight stroke, almost fell in, almost legit fell in because I was that tired. On the TV, I'd moved up into second place. That one stroke cost me a place and ended up third. Between second and third was, I think, 0.1 something of a second.
And how many were in the field for you to come from near last through to...
So 9-man final. And I remember crossing that line, and in all honesty, I remember just feeling just gutted. It was like, there was about a second and a half where I was just filthy at myself. And after that, I was like, oh, hold on a sec. For the rest of my life, I'm going to be an Olympic medalist. Not just an Australian Olympian, I'm going to be an Olympic medalist. And, you know, everything was okay once I kind of thought about it, because no one dreams about coming third at the Olympics. Everyone dreams about winning gold medal at the Olympic Games. So getting third, for that second and a half when I crossed the line, I was gutted. Tim Brabants, the guy that just won, came over, shook my hand. Like, he's a really nice, good bloke. Congratulated. Everyone was happy, and I was happy.
And were you gutted because you realised how close you were to the gold?
No, I was gutted that I just got bronze.
Okay.
Because I wanted to win. That was the event that I went there to win, and I got a bronze.
That was your pet event?
That was my pet event. 500 was still whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't, I'm going to race as hard as I can. This Olympic event, I'm in the final, I'm going to go. But, the 1,000 was what I went there to do. And as soon as I kind of thought to myself, I'm going to be an Olympic medalist for the rest of my life, it's...
You made peace.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'll give it a crack next month.
And so the next day rolled on.
Next day rolled on, went to the start line. Like, I was all happy, got a bronze medal, like a 500. I'm just going to go as fast as I can. That was it. We lined up, and Anders Gustafsson from Sweden, he was in the lane next to us. He was in lane 7, I was in lane 8, and there was a guy from Hungary in lane 9, Akos Bereske. If you put Akos, if you put all these medals in his boat, he'd sink. Like, he was world champ, World Cup winner, like he'd won everything. He was a bit older, but he'd won everything at one time. So just to be in the final of him, I was like, we're on. But Anders, all I thought about in the 500s, got to nail that first stroke. If I get a good start, I'll get somewhere between 2nd and 5th. Never thought I'd win it. I knew that I wouldn't come last in the final. Like, and even 9th at Olympics isn't bad. But I knew I wouldn't come last in the final. If I get a good start, 2nd to 5th. Nailed the start. They called us back for a false start. Anders had false started. I was like, no! Like, I was gutted. I'd actually nailed it. Like, I was right on time, and they lined us back up. And it's funny, you're at the Olympic Games, and there's like 400 metres of grandstands, and it's dead silent on that start line. Like, it is, you could hear a pin drop. It is so quiet because you're so far away from everyone else. And so the moment you hear any sort of water movement, like, you want to go. Second start, the start lined us up again, and at the time it will start within 10 seconds, and then the gun would go. And then,
so you don't know when it's going to go. You got 10. You know in 10 seconds it's going to be.
Yeah, except you know when he's going to start. Yeah. Like, you kind of. It's been the same starter for the last week, so you know that.
Yep.
He's got like a rhythm that he does it, so you semi-anticipate, semi-not. You're in a starting cone, so if you false start, it's actually going to shoot you backwards. So you don't want to hit the start gate, like it's...
Okay.
Or anything. Nailed the first stroke, I'm like, yep, I'm on, let's go.
As in, you knew you're off to a good start?
I knew I had a good start. And then on the Beijing course, there was a red buoy every 100 metres. And I remember counting down at 400, 300, 200, 100. Like, that was how it went. And the only person in the entire race that I could see was the Hungarian guy on my right-hand side. I thought, I've just got to stay in front of him. Stay in front. And for me, it felt like he'd almost pick it up every 100 metres or so. Pick up the pace. And just stay in front, stay in front, stay in front. Meanwhile, counting down, 400 metres to go, 300 metres to go. Went through the halfway mark. Had no idea I was in second place. I was in front of the Hungarian guy, so that's all that mattered. And it got the last 100 metres, all the boys turned to red. And I remember thinking to myself, it's just there. Like, the finish line is just there. Just get there, just get there. Don't fall in. Because the day before, like, we were almost falling in. Don't fall in, it's just there, just get there, go. You know, it's within reach, the finish line's there. And I knew it would be a tight race, so every point, nothing of a second counted. Still in front of the Hungarian guy. I looked across him. As soon as I crossed the line, I looked across at him. Yep, got him. Looked back the other way. I went, wow. Like, as in...
No one there.
No one there. I'd won by half a boat length. And it was clear enough for me to see that I'd won. And it was like some different words, but basically your beauty. And it was such a moment. I was like, wow, like, what just happened? I remember just...
Because the total race took, what, a minute and...
Minute 37?
Yeah, minute 37 seconds, yep.
Yeah. It wasn't the fastest time I'd done, but in the conditions that day, still water, like, it was... Yeah, it does matter how I'd love to paddle 2-minute 500 and still win. Like, it doesn't matter as long as you get there first. And you race the race. And I remember looking at my paddle, throwing the paddle away, throwing my hands up in the air, like I was the happiest guy in the world. But probably the best part about that was Tim Brabants was one of the first guys to come over and congratulate us. He just got third, but he was more. It was almost like he was more happy for me than what he was about anything else, and that made me just kind of go, wow, like this is more than just sport. And it taught me a lot that even in you got a medal at the Olympics, but in defeat you have to be almost just as happy. He'd come over, and Adam came over, and as like all my good mates that I'd been training with, that I was racing against in the final, had come over and were congratulating me, and it was just such a whirlwind from there. And the support boat came over and gave me my paddle back because I left my paddle at the finish line basically. And
You didn't need it anymore?
I remember looking at the support boat, got out of my boat, got into the support boat, looked back up at my parents and my friends and family in the grandstand, got them away and I remember looking down at my boat and going, well, don't need that anymore either. Don't need my paddle, don't need my boat, I'm done. Jumped in the water, swam to the finish pontoon, like where they got to weigh your boats and everything. There's like a big snake of media waiting for you.
And would this be a typical practice for paddlers to jump in the water and swim?
No, not really. I didn't care at the time. I was like, yeah, I'm done. I've never sat in that boat again since. So as soon as I jumped out, that was it. Never sat in it again.
Wow.
Went through the scrum of media. Medal presentation was like 10 minutes later. I'd learnt from the day before to actually put a towel in my bag to get dressed into my Olympic tracksuit, because the day before I didn't put a towel in, just didn't think. Got dried, got dressed into Olympic tracksuit. It's 36 degrees and you're in a tracksuit. They walk you out in a line out to behind the podium there, and they go third place and then second place, and you're the last person to get up. And I was a full rookie at being at the Olympic game podium like this. The day before, I was at the podium, but the two guys that I was already there, they were on either Sydney's podium or Athens' podium before, so I was kind of looking at them. What do they do? Do they claim it? Like what? And I remember just at the time they announced my name, and I stood up onto the podium slowly. Like everyone else, a lot of people would jump up there and happy at it. I just stood up there slowly because I wanted to savour that moment, and got up there and heard the national anthem playing, and you're like, I'm singing. I don't want to sing too loud because people are going to hear me how bad I am at singing, but you don't really care when you're up there. You see your family up in the grandstands, and everyone's just so happy. It's one of the happiest moments. And you get down, and it's all over, and you're like, wow, was that it? That went really fast, and it's all pretty.
And what was the first thing Mum, Dad, your sisters said?
Mum had tears in her eyes. They'd snuck through the security to get down to near the podium after where I'd swum in. They'd all kind of snuck in there, like the Australian team management kind of didn't sneak them in, but just kind of just moved in. Everyone just moved in together, and they were there hugging and kissing. Like it was
moment.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've never. Yeah, it's fun.
You've never what? Sorry, Ken?
I've never seen them so happy, I guess, before that. And that was, seeing them that happy, and it's kind of like, you're thanking them at the same time for waking you up for training every morning. And, when you're younger, and giving you the opportunity to actually be there. And in some weird way, it was kind of like this is me saying thank you back to them. So I don't know.
That's a brilliant recount of a massive day. And I remember here on the Gold Coast when you won that, like the town was just a buzz. It was in the national media, and you were the first Australian Olympic gold medalist. I think the first gold medalist for the Australian men for Beijing, if I remember correctly. You're listening to Ken Wallace, OAM Olympic gold medalist, share around the highs, the lows, and the learnings of his career to date. If you missed last week's episode featuring Running Mums Australia founder Nicole Bunyan, here's a little snippet.
One particular story, there's so many that stands out to me, is actually one of my friends. When she came on board, she hadn't really run that far, and she just, got straight in there and wanted to learn from everybody. She ran her first marathon and did amazing. She wasn't anything special in terms of an elite runner or anything. She was just your everyday woman getting out there and having a go. And then this year, she took a year off basically of training for things. She was due to have her baby early this year, and she trained through her pregnancy. Was just inspiration actually to lots of women. To
tune into the full episode 114, be sure to jump back and peruse the archives and take a listen to the full episode. You can find that over at your favourite podcast player, or of course over on the show notes at pogophysio.com.au. Let's jump back with Ken Wallace. So Ken, let's throw out of the highs. This show's about the highs, the lows, the learnings. Before we throw into the performance round, what's the darkest day of your career so far?
You know what, probably 4 years later, London Olympics. I went in there gold and bronze medalist. I was on top of the world. All of a sudden there was this expectation of me to actually go there and medal again. I was racing in an event that I hadn't raced really too much before. Got through to the final, got fourth. And did not realise, at the time, I was gutted. I was so angry at myself for getting fourth. I went from gold and bronze to coming home with nothing. In some regard, I look at it now and go, fourth at the Olympics. Come on, that's pretty bloody good. It's not anything bad. But at the time, I was so angry at myself. But then that fourth place there spurred me on for 2013, 2014. It changed the dynamic, and it made me appreciate not just the wins but the losses as well. 2013 came along. I proposed to my wife in 2012 Olympics at the course. But between London and Rio, 4 years, a lot had changed. We had 2 kids, we bought a house, like the whole kit and caboodle. But the first part of 2013, I just raced on anger. And I had a great year, but as soon as my son was born, it's like, oh wow, the perspective changed on there's more than just sport. It's, what we're doing here is nothing in compared to life. I'm a father now, this is what matters. Sport's great, but this is what matters. And then all of a sudden, how I looked at sport had changed. It was, we're lucky to do this, and I'm cherished to be able to do this, and so just go and have fun again. All of a sudden, it's fun. And started probably had the most successful. Take away the gold and bronze from Beijing. Probably had the most successful 4 years between 2012 and 2016 I've ever had.
Professionally.
Professionally.
And looking ahead to Tokyo 2020, your fourth Olympics all going to plan, what events will you be targeting there, Ken?
I'd spent a long time racing K1, and it's a lonely sport. So I'd love to jump back and race K2 again, or in K4, and just be in the team boat events. I learn a lot being in a team boat still. There's still a lot for me to learn. And it's about handling other personalities under pressure, handling myself under pressure, there's still a lot of things to go there, but Tokyo would, that's just the icing on the cake. I'm happy and I'm content with what I've done. 3 Olympics so far, 3 medals and 2 fourth places. I'm happy. I don't need to do anything more. Now this is just a want that I want to get there.
Yeah, no, mate, brilliant and significant as well, particularly being a dad of two boys, mate, that can really be of age that they'd truly probably grasp it in the moment. Let's do a performance round, Ken. So the learn-ins, you ready for some rapid-fire questions? This will be your second session after doing a session this morning. Here we go. Training session you most dislike?
6 times 300 metre efforts. It's only a short session, but it's high lactate blowing up. And the sad thing is I know it's good for me to do.
Training session you most love?
10 times 1,000 metre efforts. It's something that it's a go-to session that I know I can. It's how I gauge my fitness, my strength, my performance, and I know that I can do it.
What's the recovery?
3 minutes. So the turnaround 7 minutes, 10 times 7 minutes essentially. Every 1,000 has to be 4 minutes or under. And the 4th and the 8th one, a flat stick as hard as we can.
Oh, that's tough. Favourite pre-race meal? What fuels Ken Wallace?
Weet-Bix is probably
Anything on it?
A standard. No, just I don't eat as many as I used to anymore, but I'm still around that kind of seven or so Weet-Bix.
You're a big lad. Morning time, bedtime. I mean, now the kids are here. That's probably very variable.
Yeah, well, the morning time doesn't change. That's still the alarm goes off at 4:40. Takes me 12 minutes to get to train. After a while, you start nailing that.
Robotic.
Per minute. Some days I get to training and think, how did I actually get here? I hope I didn't go through any red lights. So.
Who's the athlete you most admire and why?
It's probably just they're the athlete, not one particular athlete, but they're the athletes that can be actually human as well and have a good time and talk to everyone no matter who they are or what. They're the athlete without the ego.
Toughest competitor Ken Wallace has ever raced? Who was that and why?
Clint Robinson, 2008 March. Probably that was the hardest race and the hardest competitor at that point in time. Next hardest, Bill out of Vancouver.
And that was the Olympic trials once again, 2008, where Clint really validated you that, hey, get some belief in yourself because you're going places.
Yeah, pretty much.
Your best recovery tip?
Warm down.
Warm down.
Warm down. And don't just float around. Actually do something in your warm down. Get as much sleep as you possibly can. Recovery, I guess, with make sure you're eating the right foods, taking the right supplements. I use Body Sciences a lot, and they've been there from start to finish. And I know that the supplements that I use off them are third-party tested, so they're when it comes to drugs in sport, I know they're good to go, and it's fine. I'm able to take that.
We love the Body Science crew, Ken. Is there a mantra that you use when you race? Self-talk.
Not particularly. I try to develop a race plan, for the race. The moment you take that first stroke, it kind of gets thrown out the window. But hopefully, you've done enough training beforehand that it just becomes automatic. That you've done that race 1,000 times in training before, and for me, I guess it's a little motto. I guess, don't train until you get it right. Train until you can't get it wrong, and the race will be easy.
Wow, like that. One word to describe Ken Wallace's racing style.
It's not over till the finish line. Not one word. Doesn't matter where you're at halfway.
How would you describe Ken being in the zone?
I guess happy to talk, but serious. I know what I've got to do. I know my times that I've got to do, my stroke rates, where my markers throughout the race. I've done it too many times in training not to be.
When was the last time you were in the zone?
World champs last year. Last time I won worlds was August last year. That's my last world championship that I've raced.
And Ken, what's the hardest session you've ever done?
It's been Portugal 2016, Friday afternoon. We were aiming for 200-kilometre weeks in paddling. We had to paddle 200k that week. We got to Friday afternoon and we said, all right, let's go 15k in an hour. And that was it. A lot of people do it as wash leads. I ended up doing it by myself. So I was sitting at under 4-minute pace for an hour straight. We got through the first 40 minutes, so the first 10k, and I was about 160 metres in front of that 15k in an hour. That last 20 minutes was probably the hardest 20 minutes that I've done.
Wow. Whereabouts in Portugal were you, out of interest?
I can't
remember.
It was the Nello Training Centre. So I was about an hour and a half out of
Lisbon.
Montemor, maybe. I think it's
My wife was born there, so just a pure interest
okay.
question. Ken, well done. That's the learnings. Final few questions. Ken, if you could boil everything down that you've learnt through your career to date, what would be one piece of advice you'd throw up for listeners to perform at their best? If you could only give one piece of advice.
Be respectful of others. Be happy, smile, wave, say hello. For a lot of the young kids that are coming through these days, I always tell them to smile and wave at their other competitors. Either it's going to intimidate them or they're going to make best mates with them, and they're going to, in 10 years' time, they're going to
have some great memories.
So smile, wave, be happy.
Ken, every guest of the Physical Performance Show issues listeners with a physical challenge for the week. What's yours going to be?
Go paddle 15k in an hour. No.
You've got to be an Olympic champion to do that.
Yeah, pretty much. You know what? The best physical challenge: eat healthy. Don't go out there and eat crap. Just eat plain, basic, healthy food. Go to bed on time. Get off your iPhones. Get off your iPads. Don't sit there and lie there in bed and look at your phone. And get up early. It's amazing. The best part of the day is, when the sun's rising. So get up early. You just feel and do some sort of activity. You feel healthier for it, and it starts your day off good. So it's not necessarily a physical challenge, but it's I guess it is. Wake up early, get off your phones, eat healthy.
Yeah, great. I like that, Ken. And final question, a bit of a personality question to get to know the personality behind the athlete. 3 people at a dinner table, living or past. Who's at Ken Wallace's table and why?
My 2 kids and wife.
Ken Wallace, there's a really strong theme that's run through our time today, and that's the value of family, having a good time, being a good bloke, as you'd say. Mate, I just want to say you're absolutely the epitome of an Aussie champion and good bloke. So thanks for swinging past today and spending some time with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So there you have it, another episode of the Physical Performance Show. I trust you enjoyed today's episode featuring Olympic gold medalist, OAM, Ken Wallace. What an absolute cracker and some absolute great stories there from Ken. If you enjoyed today's episode and you know someone that would enjoy it as well, be sure to share it with them. That'd mean a lot to myself and, of course, Ken. You'll find our social media handles over at pogophysio.com.au along with a copy of the show notes. If it's your first time tuning into the Physical Performance Show, then a massive welcome. If it's your 115th time, then thank you for your ongoing support. Thank you for subscribing and leaving reviews. The episodes go live each and every Thursday at 9 p.m. A big thank you this week to show listener Free Beck Style, who rated the Physical Performance Show 5 stars, 5 gold supernovas. What an inspiring and motivational podcast. The Physical Performance Show is both entertaining and educational. I look forward to each and every new episode. I have been out of running for 5 months and counting due to tendonitis in my hip. The knowledge I have gained about this type of injury from the podcast, especially number 62 with tendon specialist Dr. Peter Maliaris, has been priceless. Recently moving to a rural town with no running community has been difficult, but this podcast provides a sense of community for me. The guests' share-ins, their highs and lows are truly inspirational. Keep up the fantastic work, Brad, and the Pogo team. Beck Smith at Free Beck Style. Thank you very much, Beck, for taking the time to leave that review. A big thanks to the team who make this show possible each and every week. That's Susan Wilkin, all things show administration, Matthew Olding, all things graphic design, and Daryl Misson, our audio engineer genius. Of course, another big and almighty thank you to the Gold Coast Marathon for sponsoring today's episode. Podcasts are free to download. However, they are not free to produce, and the Gold Coast Marathon support goes an enormous way in ensuring the quality of this show going forwards. Thank you to the Gold Coast Marathon. If you are yet to register for this year's edition of the race, then hurry along. Whilst the marathon has reached capacity and is sold out, you'll still find places available for now in all distances, ranging from the 2 kilometre junior sprint right through to the half marathon. Big thanks to those who have been leaving feedback via the Physical Performance Show quiz. There's still time to go into the draw to win a $100 movie voucher to the cinemas of your choice. It's simple. We need feedback. We need your feedback to get better and to continue to improve the show to meet your needs. So we set up the quiz. It's available over at pogophysio.com.au/podcast. Leave your thoughts there and you're in the draw. This episode 115 is the final episode, and I'll be announcing the winner on episode 116 to be drawn randomly. So as they say, you got to be in it to win it. Thanks also to everyone who's been taking a Podsy of the week. That's a screenshot of the episode that you're currently enjoying as you're out and about or exercising. Don't forget to tag myself in at Brad_beer to go into the draw to win a copy of the revised and expanded and freshly released second edition of You Can Run Pain Free. I love seeing the podsies, so keep them coming. This is as good as time as any to mention that we have created an Instagram account for the Physical Performance Show. It's at Physical Performance Show, and there you'll find all things related to the show featured images, including the quotes from the show's guests. So jump over there and please give that a follow. Finally, this has been a big 12 to 18 months for myself. I have recently re-released You Can Run Pain Free, second edition, revised and expanded. I've spent the last 12 to 18 months expanding on the principles, the 5 steps outlined in You Can Run Pain Free since it was first released way back in 2015. It's gone on to help thousands of runners do what the cover promises, and that's to enjoy injury-free and faster running. There's new content, new information. The book's been expanded. It's close to 400 pages, and now you can get your own copy available over at pogophysio.com.au. And as a listener of the Physical Performance Show, you can enjoy a re-release launch special of 25% off the recommended retail price of $29.95 simply by entering the promo code RUN25. So if you'd like to pick up a copy of the recently re-released You Can Run Pain Free second edition, jump over and use the promo code. All copies will be signed editions as well. Okay, that brings us to an end of another episode of the Physical Performance Show. Coming up in next week's episode, I catch up with Brad Carterfelt. Brad Carterfelt was the 2006 Melbourne Commonwealth Games men's triathlon champion, and Brad raced internationally on the world triathlon scene, having 90 starts, 42 podiums, and 16 wins. What an incredible, incredible career. Brad recently hung up the boots, so to speak, and I caught up with Brad on the back of his retirement from his incredible career, the birth of his first child and on the eve of his first marathon, taking on the 2018 edition of the Gold Coast Marathon. So you're going to really enjoy that one. Following Brad, we throw over to Christian Blumenfeld, Olympic Norwegian triathlete, before we jump back with an expert edition and also one of Australia's most famed coaches, Dick Telford, coach of the 2018 Commonwealth Games Marathon champion, Michael Shelley. So lots coming up on the Physical Performance Show. Be sure to stay tuned in. Until next week, keep pursuing your physical best performance. I'm Brad Beer, and this has been the Physical Performance Show.